Hi, this is Mayor Warren. We are here for an update. It's March 23rd, 2020. We are in the Emergency Command Center at the Public Library. Today we have been issued an order from the State Supreme Court that essentially releases all persons who are incarcerated on parole or probation in the county jail. This release has an impact on our law enforcement, on the administration of our city, and certainly on the Office of Emergency Management. In order to get an explanation as to what this order means, the impact that it has, and an interpretation of it, I did bring together a number of officials. I do have our business administrator, I have the head of our Office of Emergency Management, I have our police director, and I have the city attorney here present. And I'll start with you, City Attorney Gross-Montelis. We received a consent order from the court. Please explain to us what that means and what the impact will be on our residents and our city.
Sure, Mayor. So the Supreme Court of New Jersey issued a consent order late Sunday evening, and by way of consent order, I mean that it was signed and agreed to by various agencies within the state. So
an application was made by whom? By the Public Defender's Office, or?
An application was actually made by the Office of the Public Defender.
And they made the application to the New Jersey Supreme Court?
Directly to the New Jersey Supreme Court. As a matter of fact, the New Jersey Supreme Court actually relaxed its rules with respect to making such applications before that body.
And was there a negotiation?
It was a negotiation. Once the New Jersey Supreme Court relaxed its rules for submission of the request or the application, it did order a mediation, and all the agencies that consented to the request before the Supreme Court were able to mediate its concerns or its request and present the result of the mediation directly to the New Jersey Supreme Court. So the agencies involved were the Office of the Attorney General, the County Prosecutors Association, and as you indicated, the Office of the Public Defender, as well as the ACLU.
That's American Civil Liberties Union.
That's correct.
Well, let me jump to the end first and ask you, what was the ruling of the court? What were the main terms of the agreement that was entered into?
Sure. So what the consent order, the ruling of the court does is that it suspends or commutes county jail sentences for low-risk inmates currently serving sentences within our county jails. The order actually addresses two groups of prisoners, if you will. So the order commutes or suspends county jail sentences currently being served by county jail inmates, either as a condition of probation for an indictable offense or as a result of a municipal court conviction. Those group of individuals will be released from county jail as of 6 a.m. tomorrow morning. The second group is, the order addresses the second group of inmates that, other than those that I've already identified, those individuals, the remaining individuals, will be grouped in Group B. They will be released as of noon on Thursday, March 26th.
So the group that will be released tomorrow at 6 a.m. How long were their sentences? What's the longest they could have served in county jail in the first place?
In county jail, they could have served up to. It depends on, again, what they were sentenced with. If it's a municipal court conviction, those convictions are up to 6 months.
Up to 6 months.
If it's, again, a condition of probation, you could serve up to 364 days as a condition of probation. So those are what your sentences are.
So the first group of inmates, the longest they could have been in jail, they went to jail today, the longest they could stay is a year.
364, correct.
Right, and so we have people who are in for as long as a year and as little as 6 months.
Correct, and they're being released.
And they're being released tomorrow morning at 6 p.m.
Again, you have your
6 a.m.
You have your first group that are identified as, again, those serving sentences as a condition of probation or as a result of a municipal court conviction. They're being released tomorrow, 6 a.m., in a little over 12 hours.
And then the second group are have more serious crimes. They're being released by Thursday.
On noon by Thursday.
Noon Thursday.
Right. So, and it's important to understand that the order actually impacts only those in jail for third and fourth degree crimes, or DPs, or what we call disorderly persons offenses. and we've outlined what...
Just give us a brief description of a third-degree or fourth-degree crime.
Sure. So a third degree would be, there are simple assault cases are sometimes grouped in third-degree offenses.
Could it be a robbery?
Typically not. A robbery is a more significant crime. It's usually a second degree offense, especially if it involves a weapon of that nature. You're looking at the simple assault cases, if you will. Trespassing are your fourth-degree crimes. Shoplifting, again, are your DP crimes. Again,
burglary, stolen car, stolen items, stolen bicycles.
Receiving stolen property, theft offenses. Those are third-degree offenses. Those would be third-degree offenses. And they could also be disorderly premises offenses, again, depending upon the amount,
the value of what they stole or what
the goods are involved within the particular crime.
Okay.
So they're broken down in those categories.
And those people were released on, they'll be released on Thursday.
Those individuals will be released as of noon on Thursday.
And is there another category?
No, those are the only two categories that the order addresses.
So the more serious offenders, is there an opportunity for a town to object to their release or to be notified of the release? How does that portion work?
So the way that the order has identified it, yes. In short answer, yes, there is an opportunity for the county prosecutor's office to object to anyone who's being released. The first group that we identified earlier, that's Group A, unfortunately that time period for an objection passed as of 5 o'clock this evening. So, but Group B, you can object to any release up until 8 a.m. on Thursday morning. Once that objection is made, then it goes before a selected judge by the Supreme Court, and then the objection is reviewed to the extent that it's held valid. Obviously, the individual will not be released, but if it's not held valid, then the individual will be released.
So that is the impact on the public, really, that some potential violent offenders could be released back into society really without our notice, and it's all due to the coronavirus. But I do want to pose the question, Ross, about notification of victims who are in our community. Then I want to turn to the police department to determine whether or not we have manpower, strategy, and if we're in communication with other law enforcement agencies to effect notice to victims.
Well, it's important to note, Mayor, and you're 100% right, and it's important to note that the consent order, while it does release those individuals from jail, what it also mandates is that the no contact orders for your domestic violence cases or any other conviction that required a no contact order, those orders are in fact going to stay in place. We are also charged in the order with notifying the victims of any crime that these individuals who were convicted are in fact being released.
Now, specifically, does the order speak to who has to do that notification?
Yes, the order does speak to that. The order charges the county prosecutors and other law enforcement agencies to in fact do that notification. So we are actually in the process of contacting, we, the City of Orange, are in the process of contacting the Essex County prosecutor on call to see if we can actually take the proactive step of being notified or advised as to the list of victims so that we can in fact notify the victims in anticipation of the 6 a.m. Release date tomorrow morning, as well as the 12 noon release date scheduled for Thursday.
Director Warren, as part of our efforts under this new order, the police department is probably going to have to shoulder some burden to notice victims and to notice the public at large that people are coming back into the community without the kind of rehabilitation that we bargained for. They haven't been seen yet by our non-incarceration officials. What is going to be the strategy of the police department? I know you're just getting this, but have we been able to discuss internally with the police department how are we going to do the notification part first?
Our manpower is already stretched due to the present pandemic we're facing. We're going to reassign and redeploy officers for notification purposes. That is going to be first and foremost. But this initiative is going to take coordination between the prosecutor's office, Sheriff's Department, other municipal, county and municipal law enforcement agencies. Also, we are going to work with the parole officer that's assigned to our city as well to try and get some sort of, keep a track on this target population.
Do you have, budgetarily, is this going to affect your budget? Are you going to have to do this around the clock in many cases? And you may have to go to employers or to people who are victims that are outside of Orange. Have you spoken with the administration about how you need to deploy budgetarily?
Well, the budget will be impacted. Our number one priority is notification of victims. That's our top priority, their safety, their security, and their notification. So if we have to spend overtime dollars to deploy our personnel out to do notifications, that's what we are going to do. They will do so in a professional and safe manner, looking at the present situation that we're in. But we will get out, my command staff and I are developing a plan to get those notifications done as soon as we get the information that's needed. But one thing that we do have on our side, our department has established an Office of Reentry through our Community Service Bureau.
Yes.
We're going to deploy our reentry coordinator and have him coordinate and get involved in this, this initiative as well.
OEM, you've been around the clock here at the library. How is this going to affect what you have to do on a daily basis, given the fact that the people that are being released, we haven't had any communication as to whether or not they've contracted the coronavirus, if they're at risk, or are they going to places that are at risk? How is that impacting your tasks on a day-to-day basis?
Well, it can have a huge impact on the way we're operating. The good thing about it is different departments have come together and they have, sharing a lot of information. So if the moment something happens where someone is contaminated, it comes to the center, either through the health officer, and then we contact our team members and we advise them of a possible contamination. But as far as that, security-wise, police department has been gracious enough to place a guard 24/7. We have the EOC currently on lockdown. Operation is going to continue as if this never happened. But if there is anything that's going to affect our community in general, we will make that notification.
That's good. The business administrator is on hand, and we have, the police director has spoken about some budgetary impact. But in terms of personnel, budgets, redeploying some people who may need to be involved in the victim notification process, how are we handling that?
We're going to have to, I just got off the phone with the city prosecutor. She's going to reach out to the prosecutor's office to get us a list. And then we're going to have to divide that list up between the city prosecutor and probably one or two lawyers from the city attorney's office to do the review and to process the notifications. That's going to take a fair amount of time between now and Thursday morning. So we'll supplement that with additional resources as necessary, and we'll keep track of everything because this would all be billable as part of the code for the state of emergency under COVID-19. So we'll track all the expenses and we'll seek reimbursement at the appropriate time.
Well, were we able to get, and I'm speaking to our camera consultant, were we able to get all of the input from the BA through his mask?
Oh, yes.
We were able to hear it? All right. Just to cap, he's spoken with the city prosecutor who was speaking to the county prosecutor to develop a list of victims that we must notify, and we're going to deploy our resources as we see fit. But it was important, Mr. BA, that we track the expenses because we're able to maybe get credit against this under some of our expenditures.
So at your direction, not just for this portion, but for everything related to COVID-19, all of our expenses, all of our acquisitions, purchases, all of our manpower time, all is being tracked in Edmonds under a COVID-19 code. And we also have developed or established a separate email box drop for the paperwork to be sent to that, so we have it all electronically in one place and can use that to start processing our reimbursement claims.
Attorney Montillis, when you're going to meet with the Attorney General's representative and the prosecutor's representative about how we flesh out this notification system, given that the courts are going to be closed, if there is any further crimes committed by the individuals that are released, does the order speak to that at all?
The order doesn't speak specifically to that. If the individuals are, we would obviously prosecute them in due course with respect to the new crime they commit. To the extent that the new crime calls for any type of detention, that would be handled at the appropriate level with respect to a detention hearing at the discretion of the prosecutor's office. As it stands right now, they are not favoring detention with respect to certain low-level crimes, and again, it would be at the discretion of the county prosecutor.
Now, I read in the order that if there is a restraining order, domestic violence restraining order, or no contact order that has been issued against a defendant who is being released, that order stays in effect.
That order does stay in effect, as well as a driver's license suspension order. There are certain orders and certain prior conditions that will remain in effect, irrespective or even with the individual's release. And we've highlighted those two most important ones.
I guess I'll ask this of the police department, but just to clarify, will you be made aware of the restraining orders and no contact orders? How would we know who's under such an order and who is not? I'm sorry. Would you know who's under such a no contact order or domestic violence restraining order? Will you be getting copies of those?
We will be getting copies. That's one of the things that we've charged our city prosecutor, as well as getting the names of the individual victims that we're going to contact. We're going to get also from the county prosecutor's office a list of those no contact orders and also the suspension orders, so that we can actually keep track of and keep a list of those orders.
And have you spoken with the court administrator's office here in the city as to whether or not they would be impacted by this order?
We have briefly spoken with the court administrator, Mr. James Moss, with respect to that, and we are in the process of, again, coordinating with him to make sure that all of the appropriate information is gathered for not only our record keeping, our office, as well as the court administrator.
And then finally, those who are being released from the county jail, are they required to go back to the municipalities where they live, or can they disperse throughout the state or wherever they want to go?
Yeah, the consent order issued by the Supreme Court does not mandate that they go back into the population of the municipality where the conviction took place or where the crime originated from. They can pretty much disperse anywhere that they so chose.
So conceivably, if there were crimes committed in a different town, that person could be released and then come to live in Orange.
Come to reside in Orange, yes.
Mr. Police Director, is there any message that we want to send out to those who are returning? I know your re-entry program is staffed with an individual who knows how to cite them for the resources they need to get them acclimated. I know you had a system set up. How is that system going to work with respect to this new wave of people that you didn't expect before?
We have a system set up whereas our reentry coordinator, we bring in all community stakeholders to the table in terms of assisting this population with obtaining employment, receiving all wraparound services, be it narcotics, counseling, alcohol counseling, assistance with obtaining housing. So we have the community stakeholders on board to provide the wraparound services. And although we do encourage them to do the right thing and we do want them to have a smooth transition back into society, the Orange Police Department will not tolerate any type of criminal activity or behavior, any type of deviant behavior, any type of behavior that is going to jeopardize the health and welfare and the safety of the citizens of Orange Township. It will not be tolerated. There will be zero tolerance for that type of behavior. However, we will assist you in obtaining employment and having a smooth transition back into society. Our number one goal is the safety of the citizens, of our taxpayers, and keeping this city safe.
Of another feature of this order that I want to clarify, that if you have a warrant, that if you're in jail and you have a warrant to go to another jail, to another town, or to another county, that warrant's wiped out.
Exactly. So if there's another hold on you if there's another hold on an individual for whatever the reason, that hold or warrant will be suspended, and that individual will be allowed to be released with no other holds.
Well, when you say suspended, that's a key word. That means it's only suspended for the period of time, but it doesn't get wiped out.
It doesn't get wiped out, so it's only suspended for the period of the declared public emergency under Executive Order 103. And then following that, following the end of that executive order declaring the public emergency, that warrant will be revisited whether or not it's going to be reinstated or permanently wiped out.
So your warrants aren't cleared away forever. They're suspended during the time of the emergency.
Correct.
But again, are those all warrants or specific categories of warrants?
So those are going to be warrants for, again, the similar crimes that are leading to your release to begin with, right? So the first or second degree most violent crimes and violent offenses, those warrants are not going to be clear. So in other words, if you were scheduled to be released under this order, either tomorrow morning or Thursday at noon, if you do have a hold for first or second degree crime, that hold or that warrant will in fact remain in effect.
There you heard it, in order from the New Jersey Supreme Court. It has released those who are serving in county jail as a condition of probation or for minor offenses. The first wave of defendants were released today. The second wave, they'll be released tomorrow.
Tomorrow morning at 6 a.m.
They'll be released tomorrow at 6 a.m. The second phase of defendants will be released by noon on this Thursday. There is a period for the city to encourage the prosecutor's office to object. The law department is still under review to determine whether or not that needs to take place. But we will have our prosecutor reach out to our prosecutor locally in Orange to reach out to the Essex County prosecutor to determine the list of victims that must be notified. Our police are ready to do victim notification. Our law department stands at the ready to assist as well. We've taken care of budget items and administrative items as well. So this transition we're trying to make as smooth as possible. But this coronavirus has effects that go far beyond health to our social, our welfare, certainly our criminal justice system. And we're going to do everything we can to cooperate to make sure that our community is safe. I want to make sure that we're fully informed at all times as to what you need to do and whether or not you need to have resources to make sure this community continues to be safe. I do want to stress, because it is an environment that's particularly dangerous for children and for those who may have conditions that they cannot defend themselves, the issue of domestic violence. It is serious. I take it very seriously, and I'm stressed that the police department take it very seriously as well. So I do want to give all victims a notification number to call if you're being affected by this order where someone's being released that has previously victimized you. You do have recourse. You may contact 973-666-0097. That number, once again, 973-666-0097. That is for victim notification. Ms. Police Director, what kind of information should they leave on the 973-666-0097 telephone number?
That line will be manned by one of our police personnel, our sworn personnel. You can leave your name, address, telephone number, and just mention that you are calling in reference to victim notification. Your information will be taken and we will follow through with you at a later date. But feel free to leave that information. It's confidential. It's not going to be released to the public or anyone else. It will be controlled and managed by law enforcement personnel. So leave your name, telephone number, your address, and just mention that you are calling in reference to victim notification.
please, you'll see that number up on the screen, 973-666-0097. I also want to give additional information to the National Domestic Violence Hotline. Their number is 800-799-7233. That's 1-800-799-7233. That's the National Domestic Violence Hotline, and you'll see a text number and another contact number on the screen in order to contact the National Domestic Violence Hotline. We take that seriously. We want you to reach out so that we know what's happening and where we need to deploy our resources. Once again, I want to stress overall that if there's an emergency, you dial 911. I do want to make the order itself available. It comes from the New Jersey State Supreme Court, which is the highest court in the state of New Jersey. In order to appeal from the state court, you actually have to go to the U.S. Supreme Court. Procedurally, that's how it works. So this is a very powerful order. It covers all jurisdictions in the state of New Jersey. I do want to, Graz, put that up on the website so if people want to access it, they can. It's not a confidential document, is that correct?
That is correct. And it will be placed on the website just so that we're clear. It's docket number 084230. 084230 is the docket number. It was filed with the court clerk on March 22nd of 2020, which was yesterday. And we'll make it available on our website.
Once again, go to our website for all updates and information, including this court order. All the important numbers are there. The important numbers of the day that you've seen on the screen. All that you need is there. But once again, as I close out all of my updates, I do want to leave my telephone number, and it's 862-373-0025. That's the number for Mayor Dwayne D. Warren. Please, everyone, stay safe. This coronavirus, as I said, is affecting us in ways that we did not think about. It's affecting us in ways that we did not expect. But together, if we all band together, we're going to get through this, and we're going to do everything that we can to keep this community of Orange safe, sound, and happy. Thank you. This is the update, March 23rd, 2020.